What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Happy Hill again, and if you don't know, there is a new 7-star Tera raid that was just announced yesterday, and it is none other than Blaziken. Now, if you didn't watch my video earlier announcing this new Tera raid, Blaziken is coming out on January 12th, that's UTC time, which means that if you're in the Americas, on the East Coast, you will be able to see it around, I think around 7, 8 p.m.-ish that time, and then on the West Coast, it'll be 5 to 6, maybe 4 to 5 p.m. Western time on the 11th, so that's this Thursday. The Blaziken will have the mightiest mark, as all of these 7-star Tera raid Pokemon do, and it will be a flying Tera type. And now what you guys are actually here for, Blaziken. What stats is it going to have? What is its ability going to be? Probably the hidden ability as usual. What moves could it possibly have? And what countermons am I trying to prep for this raid? So looking at the Pokemon DB here, we have Blaziken. He is typically a fire and fighting, but he will have the flying Tera type here, so he will only be affected by the flying type weaknesses, which we'll get to in a second. His ability, we are definitely thinking it's going to have the hidden ability Speed Boost, which if you don't know what Speed Boost does, in Scarlet and Violet, his speed is boosted every single turn. So that's going to be interesting. So pretty much, I don't think any of our mons are going to be able to outspeed this Blaziken, but who knows? Maybe we'll come up with a decent strat, like Trick Room maybe. We'll get to that in a little bit as well. But back to the DB for him. His base stats are 80 in HP, 120 in attack, 70 in defense, 110 in special attack, 70 special defense, and 80 speed. So a very well-rounded mon. Everybody loves Blaziken, I'm sure. But so he's good. He could have a variety of moves, basically. I'm thinking he's going to lean more towards the physical side because that's the majority of the moves he can learn. But we'll talk about that in a second when we get to his possible move sets. So moving on to the typing. So he's going to be a flying Tera type, which means that he will be 2 times weak against rock, electric, and ice. And this is where the whole figuring out what moves could it have thing comes into play, because they're not just going to give him this flying Tera type and expect us to bring in a rock, an electric, or an ice type without him having some very good counteractive moves to us. Okay, now with that all out of the way, it is time to talk about Blaziken's possible movesets, what its ability is, and its Tera type, and especially the possible countermons for this Tera raid. Now with Blaziken, its possible moveset, I am thinking it's going to have Blaze Kick for its fire type move. It is its signature move, so that would make the most sense. Acrobatics for flying, Bulldoze or Earthquake for ground, Brick Break or Focus Punch for fighting, and Rock Tomb or Stone Edge for rock. Its utility moves, I'm thinking Sunny Day, Swords Dance, Focus Energy. Now with Sunny Day, it'll increase the fire type moves and decrease water type moves effectiveness. Swords Dance will increase your attack stat by 2 stages, and Focus Energy will up its crit chance. Now I'm thinking it's going to be using Sunny Day and Swords Dance off the rip, like we've seen in some of the other Tera raids. It uses moves like that to amplify its abilities in the beginning. Now, ability, once again, is going to be its hidden ability Speed Boost, which its speed increases by 1 stage at the end of each turn. Now, he's going to be a very quick mon, very speed-oriented for sure. And once again, its Tera type is flying. Now onto the possible counter mons we could be looking at. I have Miraidon, which is an electric dragon. Its ability is Hadron Engine. Tera type is electric. Item leftovers or magnet. Now the magnet will increase your electric type moves effectiveness by 20%. So that's going to be pretty good. Leftovers will heal you periodically throughout the match. So leftovers is always a good one to have. The moveset I'm looking at for Miraidon is Charge, which you use Charge and it'll amplify your next electric type move. It'll also amplify your special defense a little bit. Parabolic Charge, which is a good special electric move. It'll damage and heal you for half of the damage you deal. And Electro Drift, which is Miraidon's signature move. Obviously Electro Drift is fantastic, and if it is super effective on the mon, which it will be with this Blaziken, it will deal significantly more damage as well. And for the final one, rounding it out, is a utility move with Metal Sound. Now Metal Sound will reduce a Pokemon's special defense by 2 stages. And the only weaknesses that it really has are 2 times to ground if the Blaziken uses Bulldoze or Earthquake. On to the next mon, or mons, Rotom. Now, you can either bring in the Washer Rotom or the Oven Rotom. The Oven Rotom will be a fire electric, and the Washer Rotom will be a water electric. Their abilities are Levitate, which means that this mon will not be affected at all by ground type moves. So that is perfect, because the Washer Rotom, it has no weaknesses whatsoever against this Blaziken. With the Oven Rotom, all it has is 2 times rock, if it does bring in Rock Tomb or Stone Edge. But yeah, so that's awesome to have in Levitate. Tera type is, we're looking at electric, items, leftovers, or magnet again. So the moveset, we're looking at Charge again, Tera Blast, which is amazing. So it bases your damage off of whatever your attack or your special attack, whichever one is the most, and you'll want to use it when you're terastallized. So with Electric, Tera Blast, it will just pretty much shred this Blaziken in theory. We'll see what happens. But moving on, we have Reflect as a utility move that will reduce the attack damage coming in, the physical attack damage. And we have Thunderbolt to kind of poke it down or just deal some pretty good damage in general with the electric typing. As I mentioned, the only weaknesses is the Oven Rotom with the 2x from Rock. Next Pokemon is Zapdos. Now Zapdos is electric and flying, which just like Levitate, flying is not affected at all by ground type moves, which is the only weakness that Zapdos would really have. But it is still weak against Rock. So it's still got 2x weakness against Rock, but like I said with Rotom, unless it actually has it, it probably won't pose much of a threat, but we'll get to that when we get to that. The ability I'm looking at is Static. The Tera type is electric. Once again, items, leftovers, or magnet. And its abilities, once again, Charge, and then Metal Sound again, Thunderbolt, and Roost. Now what Roost does is it heals you for half of your health. So Roost will be a fantastic sustain item whether you're soloing this thing or even if you're in a party. Next Pokemon, we're looking at Palkia. Now, Palkia is a water dragon. Its ability is going to be Pressure. Tera type is going to be Electric. And item, I'm looking at Leftovers. I'm not sure if I really have any other options that I want to put in there right now. I'm thinking Leftovers. Leftovers is just a good default item, really. And its moveset, I'm looking at Aqua Ring, which Aqua Ring will heal you over time throughout the match. Power Gem, which is a rock type move. Ancient Power, which is also a rock type move. Or Tera Blast, one of the two. And Thunderbolt to kind of round out the moveset, be able to poke it down a little bit more. And its weaknesses are nothing. There's nothing that Palkia would be weak to against this thing. So Latios. Now Latios, once again, just like with Zapdos, you'll be able to find it throughout Paldea after you get through the Indigo Discs BBQs and you get some of the tasks done. You can find him out in the wilds of Paldea. It's going to be a dragon and psychic type. Once again, it will have Levitate, so it will not be affected by ground type moves at all. It's Tera type. I'm looking at Electric, and items I'm looking at either Leftovers, Life Orb, or Twisted Spoon. Well, I'm thinking of going with Twisted Spoon. That is because of the moveset I have on him. So with Latios, I'm thinking of going Calm Mind, which will increase your special attack and special defense stats by 1 stage each. And then once we get a few of those Calm Minds in, I'm thinking of going with Stored Power. Now Stored Power will release the amount of energy that you have stored up as far as your stats being amplified, and it'll attack for an immense amount of damage. Now with the Twisted Spoon, I feel like that might help a little bit, but we also have Charge Beam. Now Charge Beam is going to attack with an electric typing, and it'll have a chance at increasing your special attack as well. And then we have Tera Blast, which obviously if we get enough Calm Minds in, and if I do end up going with a Life Orb, then once we terastallize into Electric, Tera Blast can probably shred Blaziken pretty well. Now as far as weaknesses go, Latios has none against Blaziken. Even when it goes Electric Tera, it's still going to be fine because of Levitate. Now the next Pokemon, and we're out of the special attackers now. We are now into the physical attackers, with the first one being Iron Hands. Now Iron Hands is fighting Electric. We've seen him in all sorts of Tera raids. We'll see how he works here, because especially if they bring in Earthquake or something, it might do some damage, but he's a pretty beefy mon regardless. So its ability is Quark Drive. Its Tera type, I'm going to leave it Electric, and item Booster Energy, of course, to complement the Quark Drive. And moveset wise, I'm looking at Focus Energy, which like we mentioned with Blaziken, it'll increase his chance of landing a crit. Belly Drum, of course, because as we know, will cut your health in half, but it will amplify your attack stat up to the max. So this is a very good trump card to use. The one thing though is if it does have a ground type move and you use Belly Drum and you cut yourself in half and then it just one-shots you, that would kind of suck. But we'll see how beefy the Iron Hands can be against his Blaziken and what other strats we can use to mitigate that. But the next move is Charge once again with Wild Charge or Thunder Punch. Now Wild Charge is a recoil electric type physical move that Iron Hands can use, and it packs a punch, but it could also hit him with a bunch of recoil as well. Now this could one-shot him if you think about it. If we were to get a terastallization off with Electric, we have the Belly Drum already, we get a Charge, and we hit it with Wild Charge, it could just annihilate him right there. But instead of Wild Charge, I'm thinking about maybe going Thunder Punch as well. We'll see which one works better, or if they work at all, but Thunder Punch might be the safer option there. And like I mentioned earlier, Iron Hands is only weak against ground, so it's 2 times weak against ground type. And moving on to the next and final physical attacker, we have Dragonite. Now, Dragonite is a dragon in flying. He's also a very beefy mon as well as far as health and defenses go. I'm thinking his ability is going to be multi-scale. His Tera type, looking at electric, item being leftovers, and the moveset being Thunder Punch, Roost, Dragon Dance. So if you don't know what Dragon Dance is, it'll amplify its attack and speed stat by 1 stage. And Rock Tomb. Now we mentioned Rock Tomb in Blaziken's possible moveset. So Rock Tomb will reduce the speed stat of a Pokemon it uses, and it's rock type, so flying is weak against rock, so that might be great to have there. Poke him down a little bit as well as reduce its speed. And the only weaknesses that Dragonite has here are 2 times weak against rock, so that's pretty useful there, especially if it doesn't have it. But like I said, we'll have to wait and see if it does actually have a rock type move. Now onto the last 3 mons of my possible counter mons, the supports. Now, Carbink, I was looking through a bunch of these mons and I didn't even think about Carbink in the beginning. But Carbink is very defensive. He has very high defense and special defense, decent amount of health. We're definitely leaving him at support, but he is a rock and fairy with the sturdy ability, fairy Tera type. Item, I'm looking at either light clay or leftovers, and its moveset, I'm looking at reflect, meteor beam, which we'll get to in a minute, trick room or skill swap. Now this is what I was talking about earlier with the trick room or skill swap, iron defense or calm mind for the movesets there. And it's only weak against ground, so it's 2 times weak against ground, and that's it. But let's get talking about Trick Room, Skill Swap, Iron Defense, and Calm Mind again. So now Meteor Beam. Let's talk about Meteor Beam first, actually. Meteor Beam is a rock type special move that hits for 120 damage, which is pretty awesome. It says here that the user gathers energy, it boosts its special attack on the first turn, and then attacks on the next turn, so might as well have it just in case. But it is a very hard-hitting rock type move, special attack move at that. So I put that in its move set. Now, Trick Room or Skill Swap. Now, if you don't know what Trick Room does, it creates a bizarre area in which the slower Pokemon get to move first for 5 turns. Now, against a speed-oriented mon like this Blaziken, he's going to be the fastest one in the room. So if you use Trick Room, then your mons are always going to move first. So that would be great. Now, Skill Swap, if we choose to do that instead of Trick Room, then what it's going to do is swap your abilities, your skills. So with Sturdy, all Sturdy does is that if you're at full health and you get hit by a move that would KO you, it just drops you down to 1 HP instead. So we would swap Sturdy with Blaziken's speed boost, and that would mean that Carbink would instead get a speed boost every move, vice Blaziken, so he would just be stagnant at whatever speed he's at. So one or the other, between Trick Room or Skill Swap. We'll look into them, but Trick Room would probably be better because that would affect everybody positively rather than just Carbink, and where Carbink would just be a support anyways. I'm thinking just Trick Room, but Skill Swap is there. Now, Iron Defense will increase your defense stat by 2 stages. Calm Mind, like we said earlier, will increase your special attack and special defense by 1 stage each. So those are good. Now onto the next support mon, we have Latias. Now, Latias, you guys know him. You guys love him. Latias is the counterpart to Latios, more of a support mon, so that's why we have her here. Dragon and Psychic with the ability Levitate, Psychic Tera type once again with the items Light Clay or Leftovers, and the moves I'm looking at, right, are Charm or Chilling Water. We'll get to these in a second. Helping Hand, Reflect, once again, and Heal Pulse or Draining Kiss. Now the weaknesses, once again, just like Latios, are non-existent with this Blaziken raid. So with Charm, right, it will harshly lower the target's attack stat, which means that with each use of Charm, it will lower the opponent's attack stat by 2 freaking stages. That is awesome. Now, with Blaziken probably going to be using mostly physical type of moves and trying to amplify its attack all the time, this would hinder it so much, so you could have a lot of sustainability in your party. Now, Chilling Water, we might actually do Charm and Chilling Water in the same moveset, or one or the other, I'm not sure yet, but we'll see what happens when the raid comes out. Now, Chilling Water, if you guys don't know, Chilling Water is a water type special attack move that damages, but it also lowers the target's attack stat after each use. So that's why I'm thinking either between Charm or Chilling Water, because Chilling Water, you can poke it down while reducing its attack stat by 1 stage each use, or Charm, which will just reduce its attack stat by 2 stages each use. So we'll see what happens. Helping Hand, if you guys don't already know, will assist an ally by boosting the power of that ally's attack. Now it increases the ally's attack power by 50% during that turn. If you don't already use Helping Hand in your parties, it's a good one to have. Heal Pulse and Draining Kiss. So Draining Kiss, right? Draining Kiss is a fairy type move that's a special attack move. It'll hit for 50 damage, but it will also restore by over half the damage taken by the target. Now with Heal Pulse, the user emits a healing pulse that restores the target's HP by up to half of its max HP. So this is a very good supportive move that you'll want to use on any of your mons in your party that are going down very quickly. So that is really it for Latias. Now on to the last mon and the last support. It is going to be Lapras. Now Lapras is very tanky and its typing is water and ice. Its ability being Shell Armor. Now we'll talk about Shell Armor here in a minute. Its Tera type, I'm looking at Ice, item being Leftovers, and its moveset being Life Dew, Rain Dance, Chilling Water, and Dragon Cheer. Now, the only weaknesses it has is to fighting and rock, so it's 2 times on both of those. The fighting could be interesting, but we'll see. Lapras is pretty tanky, so it might work out. But let's take a look at the moves really quick. Alright, so now with Lapras's ability, Shell Armor, opponents' moves cannot critical hit. So this will be awesome for when Blaziken's trying to use all of these crit hit moves, and it can't even land once on Lapras. That'd be great. That means you could survive a lot better. Now moving on to the moves with Life Dew. The user scatters mysterious water around and restores the HP of itself and its ally Pokemon currently in battle. This is going to be an amazing support move that'll be able to heal up your party members and yourself and not have to use up all those heal cheers all the time. Now Rain Dance, as we know, it increases water type moves damage as well as reducing fire type moves. So that would be great to have. Chilling Water, once again, like I was talking about with Latias, we're thinking it'll be a good poke type move to damage them a little bit, but its main purpose is to reduce the attack stat of the opposing mon. So that would be great to have against this Blaziken. And the last move is going to be Dragon Cheer. Now with Dragon Cheer, it increases your allies' morale, where they will each have a heightened chance of landing a critical hit. So this would be good to have just so you can land way more crits, you and your party, probably more so your party than you because you're just going to be using Chilling Water, but it's a good move to have there for your party. So there it is. These are the possible movesets I think that this Blaziken is going to have in its 7-star Tera raid, as well as its ability, its Tera type, and the possible Mon Counters that we could be bringing in to defeat this thing. Now, if you guys have any of your own suggestions, please leave them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear them. And if you enjoyed the video, please like it. Be sure to subscribe on your way out if you're not already, and ring the bell so you guys will be notified of more content like this coming here soon, as well as my live streams, which I will be going live when this raid goes live on Thursday, here and on Twitch. The Twitch is in the description down below, so go click on that. And other than that, guys, hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.